Yo, what is good? Okay, so here you have your back text, right? And right now I'm selecting it. Here I'm gonna make it more obvious by bringing it over here. So next what you want to do, we want to shade it, right? So we're gonna do that shading on a different layer. So I'm gonna create a new layer right here, and then make it a clipping mask. That way, anytime we color over this layer, then it will always stay on top of the back text, if it makes sense. So for example, if I try and brush like over here, it won't do that because I set a clipping mask and that clipping mask is attached to the base layer. Next, I'm going to show you some techniques. So first, the type of shading that we have to do is, here, let me try and find it. Sorry. This kind of shading. You see where this H gets, or the light that hits it is like different on each side. And here too, where there are sharp edges. We need to shade that because, and we need to shade it well because the corners are sharp. So we need to make a more obvious shading and make a, what's it called? Like make a more immediate fade, or really no fade at all. Okay, so we go back to our back text over here. Go to our shading layer. I'll just call it shading or just shade. And then next, what I like to do, I get the base color and then make it super dark. But I don't make it like absolute black, but like basically almost there. And also make sure to make it like really saturated. So I'll do it here instead of like over here. So I do it over here. And it doesn't really make too much of a difference, but if you're aiming for perfection, then it'll look good. And then, okay, so I have shading selected. And then, okay. And then my opacity, set it to around 15 to 30. Because what we're going to do, we're going to keep on dabbing the brush over the base layer. So we gradually make it shaded basically. So yeah. So let's restart. And first we're going to target the sharp edges. So just look around your logo. And then look for sharp edges. So this is one over here. This is where the shading will drastically what's it called, like change basically, like yeah, I don't explain it. And then I found another one. Let's try here. And to make multiple selections, hold shift while selecting. So right now I'm not holding shift. Right now I am, because there's a plus, and that means you can add multiple selections. And this might be useful, but to remove, hold Alt and then bring your cursor close to another selection, and then you can do this. But we don't want to do that. Okay, and then we add another selection here. Bam, bam, bam. And then yeah. Okay, we're gonna start over. We'll do this. Actually, okay, this selection's kind of bad, so ignore that. But okay, so over here, I like to start where the corner meets, or the crevice, where the crevice is, or whatever. And then I have my opacity of 17, and then I start at the base of the shadow. So I hit it once, and as you can see, the shadow isn't really extending all the way to the other side. So first, make it small, and then if I feel like it's a little too bright, I just that bit more. Actually, no, ignore that. Sorry. So to make it more simple, after I have shaded this smaller part, what I want to do is make the brush a little bigger, and then starting from the same place, you shape from there, and then you just keep on going forward. And you keep on doing the same thing. You don't have to make it too big. It's just a technique. So I just do like this. And then, yeah, it's kind of like that basically. And it already looks pretty 3D. If you want to be more concise, I would probably like go a little smaller and then just like fix a few details. So like here, I'd make it like darker over there. So it'd be like that basically. And then you would do the same thing here. So you'd start from the edge. Again, this is a really bad selection, sort of. And then do here too. And yeah, that's how you do it. The next type of shading we have to do is ambient occlusion. Actually, yeah, okay, yeah. We'll just do ambient occlusion. Actually, no, fuck it. Never mind. Okay, so we're gonna use the old selection. And then what you want to do is have a different selection tool selected. And then right click. And then go to select inverse, which will select anything but what we had already selected. So now we can basically color in anywhere that was not originally selected. So the reason I do that is because obviously this looks very unnatural, because obviously there's going to be light, or there's going to be shadow over here, because that's just how light works, I guess, because no light is getting there. So by doing select inverse, we can accurately shade over the other parts without overlapping with what we already shaded. So I just keep dabbing the same technique. Since this area is much smaller, you don't really have to like make your brush that big. Just use common sense and just keep dabbing over to where shadows meet. And then I could do that over here too. As you can see, the method where I go from smaller to bigger doesn't always, you don't always have to do it. It's just one of the ways you can do it. It's just, you need to follow the principle that as the shadow gets closer to its core, it'll be much stronger. So therefore we create a fade in this way. So yeah, and since we're curving upwards, usually I like to pretend there's light coming from behind the text. So I don't really shade this part. I just leave it kind of like that. That being said, I would probably fix this part too, and like make it like this. And yeah, to select a color, hold Alt to get colors while having your brush selected. And yeah, it looks kind of weird, but here, let me try to fix it. So yeah, as you can see, I'm not really selecting. I'm using the selection tool because I feel like, actually I feel like I should, you know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna skip over that. I need to show you guys something else. Okay, the next type of shading we're gonna do is ambient occlusion, which is where light cannot reach. And it is basically, here, I'll show you what it means. Here, I'm gonna make a new layer called Shade 2. You don't have to do this. You can do it on the same layer if you want, but I'm gonna just do it for demonstration purposes. And then basically, where you want to shade is where you think shadows will be, basically. When you first start, it'll probably be messy. It's more of a thing where you kind of build intuitive reasoning. Yeah, it's all about practice, I guess. So build your intuition, and then it'll become much easier and faster for you. So for example, here, where these two letters meet, where it's C and H, you do the same process where you have the core of the shadow become much darker than where it how do I explain it? Here, just here. So here, for example, I'll start from smaller, so I'll dab over here, because that's where shadow can't reach the most. And then I make it slightly bigger, and then dab over it like that. So it's kind of like painting, basically. Like that. And obviously it doesn't look perfect, but, yeah, just remove some shadows if you want. So yeah, it's probably a little too dark. Okay, honestly it looks terrible, but you just rinse and repeat. For T, doesn't really matter to select. You don't really have to select. Oops, wrong color. And yeah, just see that. Just keep dabbing, basically. Here, it's a little confusing, but this is definitely sharp corner here. The shadow will definitely defer, so just keep shading. I'll do an inverse here, and then I'll just do this sort of thing. Letters like C's and O's are kind of hard to shade, but just keep dabbing. And then over here too, probably use a selection tool. As you can see, you can't really tell where the line will end basically, but you can just sort of guess. It's not too important unless you're like really off and like bad. In that case, I would probably like turn it off and then see where it meets. And then just shade. Remember, this is ambient occlusion as well. And then select inverse. Boom, boom, boom. This L and E, definitely. Right? Pretty easy to shade here, actually. Maybe a little too dark. Doesn't really have to be dead on accurate. I'm not that good myself either. But that's how it is. You know? And then there's another selection here. Or a hard edge. And I'd shade that too. Yeah. Sometimes it looks kind of cool if you don't like do it accurately, but yeah. Oh, and then this E over here, you obviously can't see like anything. I just sometimes get lazy with it and then just kind of do that, you know. As you can see, I'm not shading on the sides over here. I think it looks weird. I don't think it's accurate. Honestly, wouldn't know. I'm not like an expert in these kind of things, but that's like that's just the general way to do it, I guess. Wait, am I recording? Yeah, I'm recording. Okay. And then, yeah. So this was just a practice I did, but I actually already completed this. And it actually looks like that. I think this looks worse actually than the one I just did, but it's fine. And yeah, that's how you do shading. The next thing we're gonna do is the light in the back. So to do that light in the back, it's much easier. All you have to do is draw or paint, I guess, where the back is. You don't really have to be too accurate. And then you can see my base or my color is purple, right? Sometimes what I like to do is shift the hue a bit to like an adjacent color to like blue maybe or pink. I usually do one that's like that makes it brighter, so or kind of brighter, I guess, in a sense. It's not technically brighter, but yeah. So I'd shift to like pink and then make it desaturated-ish, kind of like this. And then that way, yeah, make sure you're on a new layer. Actually, no, I'll do it over here. Yeah, make it on a new layer. Call it something like light, or call it highlight if you want. And then what you're gonna do is just dab, you know? Make it look like the light is coming from the back. And as you can see, it's kind of hard to like shade over here because the letters are overlapping. If you really care, just select like that. Honestly, I almost always get lazy with it because you almost never notice it in the final product. So you do that. Oh, actually, I forgot. Set this layer style to like overlay or like linear dodge, or yeah, linear dodge, soft light, hard light maybe. Soft light usually not, or overlay. Usually linear dodge or hard light works for me. And then, or color dodge even. It depends. Oh, I forgot to shade here, so just ignore that. So yeah, just shade where it is in the back, you know? Use common sense. That's all it is. And as you can see, like the shadows are kind of like overlapping with the shadow. That's why I said like maybe you can erase some part of the shadow to compensate for that, but it doesn't really matter if it still looks good. So here it's kind of tricky. I'm just gonna guess. Me here. Yeah. Boom, 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 boom. And then it kind of looks messy, not gonna lie. I'm gonna erase some, zoom out to get a clearer vision. Yeah, it kind of looks like ass, I'm not gonna lie. Here, I'm gonna use my old example. That still looks like ass, but okay. So the next thing, sometimes you don't have to do this. I duplicate that highlight layer, make it a clipping mask once again. And then I changed the layer style to like overlay or something to give it some extra juice, I guess. And then erase some parts. Obviously this is like really rough. You just have to make it clean. I'm just doing this to show you guys how it's done. Yep. Okay, there we go. And then next, we have to cover styling. This looks like ass, but I'll cover that for a different video. Peace out.